Hey parents, as promised, a little mini lesson Tuesday here. I kind of want to talk to you guys about some things your kids are going to be learning this year for fractions. And pretty much anything I do here on this mini lesson, you guys can feel free to mirror on your own at home. This is going to come into play huge over Thanksgiving break because what happens is we all go home and eat pie and play video games, and we forget everything. So we got to make sure that that's not happening to our friends because we have work that needs to be done. So the first thing I want to talk about is something that we've been working on since really the beginning of the year, and that's taking fractions that end in either, that have a denominator of 10 or a denominator of 100, and turning them into decimals. And at this point, it's pretty simple. When they get to fifth grade, it gets a little more challenging, but I kind of wanted to show you how easy it is to convert these things and how easy it is to coach your kids through them. So let's say, for instance, this fraction is 7/10. Well, the kids know if I asked you, please draw me a decimal of 7/10, they would all know that it looks like that. But for some reason, this transition can be a little bit challenging. But just a quick reminder, there is a 7 in the 10th place. This is the 10th place, the spot right behind the decimal. Moving on over here, there is also a 100th place. And if the number is 32 hundredths, all they have to do is take that 32, put it behind the decimal. That is 32 hundredths. This is 32 hundredths. And the only real challenging part where it gets a little, I wouldn't even want to call it hard because, nothing in math is hard, just, takes a little work, is when they see something like this. Okay, well, first thing I ask the kids is this. What is this? It's a one whole. Good. Well, we know that there's a ones place. Let's put it there. And then we just plug our 32 in behind it. This is simply converting fractions, or mixed numbers in this case, into a decimal. Easy enough. So if you guys want to, feel free to give your kids any of these as long as they end in 10 or 100 and they're proper fractions, not improper. So again, we'll go over what those two things mean in a little bit. So that's converting decimals to fractions and fractions to decimals, vice versa. Same thing goes the other way. If I gave them this, well, this is 12 hundredths, they would need to write this. So parents, feel free to give your kids any 2-digit behind the decimal. We don't talk about thousandths in 4th grade, so let's just stick with the 2 behind the decimal, but this is kind of how that conversion goes. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is mixed numbers and improper fractions. So what we've been doing today, and this is going to give you a snapshot of what we did today and what we did yesterday, is if I give the kids a fraction 1 3/4, okay? This is a mixed number. They know that this is a whole and this is a fraction, 3/4. What they need to do in order to turn this into, and again, this is foundational. This isn't the quick trick we all learned in school. This is foundational understanding. They need to turn this into an improper fraction. How do they do that? Well, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to make a model. Now, when I tell them to make a model, I say if there's a mixed number like this or an improper fraction, draw 2 models, because you already know that the amount is going to be more than 1. The next thing I have them do is I have them do the unit fractions. Now, unit fractions are the building blocks of fractions. So if a fraction's cut into fourths, like this denominator tells us it is, there's going to be 4 1/4 pieces inside. Well, the same goes for this one here. I'm going to label them with 1/4 size pieces. And then I'm just going to tell them to do your job. This one whole, well, that means one whole of this has been circled or shaded. So I'm going to circle here. That takes care of my 1. Now I just need to come and do my 3/4. 2, 3. Now I just tell them, count up the number of things that you've circled. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7/4. So 1 3/4 is the same as 7/4. We know this because we did our model. The trick you parents probably know, and this is going to flash you back to for some of us, acid wash jean jackets and puffy hair full of hairspray is this method. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7, 7/4. Now, am I going to teach your kids this eventually? Absolutely. But do they need to know why this works? Absolutely. Because until I got into high school and even into college, nobody explained this to me. They just showed me like, well, look, you multiply this, you add this, you get this. Move on, kid. No. Why does that work? This is why that works, okay? This is converting mixed numbers here into a improper fraction, and you can do the same the other way. It works both ways, so that's great. Again, and with your kids, if you're like, hey, Mr. C, how can we do this at home? Hey, try not to give them anything like this, that's kind of not nice, but try to make it easy on them, maybe 2, maybe a 3 hole even. Remember they have to draw those models, so just be kind to them. The next thing they need to do is be able to decompose a fraction. Now, decompose, the kids will tell you, means that it's broken. I don't want to draw that many things. Means that it's broken apart. It doesn't mean that it's getting subtracted or anything like that. We're not talking about that. When you decompose something, you simply break it into smaller pieces. So if I'm going to decompose 4/5, there's multiple ways to do it. We had a great time today actually talking about all the different ways to represent 4/5. So one way could be 3/5 plus 1/5. And the reason this equal sign, and I call it the same as sign, but the reason the same as sign is here is because this is the same thing as this. 3/5 plus 1/5 is 4/5. Same thing. What are some other ways we could do it? Well, some of you are probably on the edge of your seat shouting at me. We could do 2/5 plus 2/5. And we could also do it this way. 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5. So they need to be able to take a fraction like 4/5 and break it into its smaller parts or pieces. So this is called decomposing fractions. Say it one more time. Taking a fraction and then decomposing it. The most challenging that this is going to get would be something like this. And the same thing, it'd be like 1 whole plus 1 whole plus 2/4 plus 1/4. Well, let me see if this is true. This is 2, and that's 3/4. Okay, well, I did my job right. So having them break these numbers down into smaller pieces absolutely is something you can help them at home doing. This is what we've done so far. So this is kind of the part of the video where I'm like, hey, kids, if you're still hanging around and listening to Mr. C talk, go clean the dishes or do something outside, because I'm going to talk to your parents about some other things because I haven't talked to them about this yet. The next thing they're going to have to do is add and subtract fractions. So they're going to get a problem like this. Now in 4th grade, thank goodness, the denominators will always be the same. So with this, I'm simply just going to have them line it up just like they would a normal addition problem. They're going to add these fractions first, just in case we have to regroup. And yes, they have to eventually. 3/4 plus 4/4 is 4/4. And I tell the kids, what do we do with this 4/4? We're just going to regroup that whole here. 1, 2, 3, 4. The answer to this would be 4. Just the number, whole number 4. That's an example of having to regroup this whole because we made one here. This is eventually somewhere we're going to get to. That's adding fractions. Again, they're always going to have the same denominators no matter what. So if you're going to give them problems, make sure they always have the same denominator. They do not need to know how to convert in 4th grade. And please don't teach them because their little brains will overload. We don't want to do that. Okay, the next thing we're going to have to do is subtract. And that's pretty simple. 6/8 minus 4/8 is 2/8. Will they have to simplify? Some of you are saying yes. But that is such a touchy subject that we are going to wait until we come back from probably the week after Thanksgiving, to be honest with you, because we'll play that next week sort of as a, hey, let's remember all the things we did before we left. But subtracting is definitely something they're going to have to do. And then finally, they're going to have to find equivalent fractions. And the nice thing about equivalencies is simply this. You're going to start with a fraction. And we're simply just going to move across the board. So whatever I do to the top, I have to do to the bottom. Some of you just had flashbacks to school on there. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. Those are equivalent. 2/3 and 4/6 are the same thing. Same size. As I keep going, let's keep going here. We'll multiply 2 times 3. Oh, I'm sorry. It's the end of the day. 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. Great. Those are also an equivalent fraction. Remember, whatever I do to the top, I have to do to the bottom. Let's get crazy. We're going to multiply the top and the bottom by 10. So this would be 20/30. Wowzer. Okay? Equivalent fractions. You guys watching this video, I appreciate it. Let me know if there's anything else I can do. Let me know if there's something that, your kid's really struggling with. And hey, Mr. C, would you mind shooting a quick video? I need help at home. Guys, I don't mind. These take me, 5 to 10 minutes, but they save me and you tons of time because they're getting the help they need now rather than having to wait and let these gaps build. So thank you guys for watching. Thanks for all you do. I appreciate everything you guys do. Have a great evening, and I'll see everybody tomorrow on Wednesday.